Hi, the SI meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday, November 30th. Well, the big weather story nationwide continues to be the onslaught that continues out in the Northern California region, the Southern Oregon, all the way from Central and Northern California up the West Coast through the Pacific Northwest. They're getting pounded by Pacific storm after Pacific storm, and that threat will continue right through the upcoming weekend, and some areas in Northern California and southwestern Oregon may end up with more than a foot of rain before all is said and done sometime early next week. What I want to start off showing here is the upper level map. This is a 500 millibar loop for the next few days, and the pattern can really be seen here by looking at the upper level 500 millibar maps here. This is way up in the atmosphere, about 18,000 feet or so, and the steering currents really can be found in this part of the atmosphere. So systems tend to move along these lines here, parallel to these lines here. And a couple things to notice. First of all, there's a deep trough of low pressure that just spins here for a couple of days, and that's the problem for the Pacific coast, is that this is a very slow moving trough, and there is just a long fetch of air coming from the middle of the Pacific, really from around the Hawaiian Islands region, transporting lots of moisture right into the West Coast, and this flow continues right across the country. And what this does is it has an effect even here in the eastern states by the latter part of the weekend or the earlier part of the next week, in the sense that we'll warm up because of all this Pacific Ocean air that is flooding the nation now. With this kind of a west to east flow of air, or what's called a zonal flow of air, coming right off the mild Pacific, the relatively mild Pacific across the nation. This will first warm up the Rockies, and then the Central Plains this weekend, and then the eastern states on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Another thing that this kind of a west to east flow does is just cut off any potential Arctic outbreak for the next several days. Arctic air masses will not be able to drop south and east like they can do at this time of the year. So this zonal flow does a couple of things. It pounds the West Coast with storm after storm, and it also floods the nation with relatively mild air that'll really move over the next few days from coast to coast, from the West Coast to the East Coast. Here's the latest surface map. First, a couple of big players here. Here's still strong high pressure, chilly high pressure here in southeastern Canada, and it's still kind of chilly here in the eastern states, where we've been below normal. It'll stay below normal today and for another day on Saturday. But on the backside of this high, the winds are already starting to shift around here out of the south across the Central Plains. They'll have a big warm up out here over the next couple of days, and that'll move into the eastern states for the Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday time frame. Meanwhile, here we go out west, just frontal system and storm after storm pounding the West Coast with rain event after rain event. Inland, just tremendous snowfall totals in the Sierra, high Sierra Mountains here. They will not be measuring the snow in inches or in feet, but in yards over the next several days. So there'll be just 10, 12 feet of snow over the next few days in the highest elevations of the Sierras. And it's not just the Sierras, but all the way up to the Cascades up in Washington, for example. They'll have significant snowfall, the Bitterroots, and even near Salt Lake City, the Wasatch Mountains will get some significant snow by the end of the weekend here at the highest elevations. You have to go pretty high for these events to get the snowfall. The snow levels are not dropping too low, but once you're up in the higher elevations, you can get pounded by snow here over the next several days. Well, here's another look at what's going on out in the Pacific Ocean area. And we talked about this fetch of moisture coming really from the Hawaiian Islands right towards the West Coast. And that could be seen here with this infrared satellite loop, this GOES infrared satellite loop. Here's some clouds associated with this moisture stream that go all the way out into the middle part of the Pacific Ocean, out towards the Hawaiian Islands. Sometimes this is referred to as the Pineapple Express, as it's just transporting tremendous amount of moisture over a long fetch over the Pacific Ocean, slamming right into the West Coast. And places from San Francisco north right into southwestern Oregon could have some incredible rainfall amounts by the time all is said and done, of more than a foot of rain by Sunday, Monday. And that heavy rain will also move all the way down the coast. Los Angeles is raining right now, and they have the threat of rain right through the upcoming weekend. By the time Sunday rolls around, it could be actually quite a significant rain event in the Los Angeles, southern or southwestern California region on Sunday into early Monday. Here's a spin in the atmosphere associated with that upper level trough that's just sitting there and sending frontal system or storm after storm right into the west coast, and that'll continue for the next few days. Here's the latest radar loop, and they are getting pounded right now across San Francisco Bay with some heavy rain right up into Oregon. There is some rain, lighter rain down in the southwestern part of California. That, again, can become heavy later part of the weekend as the Sunday storm looks like potentially the strongest and wettest of all these Pacific storms, at least down in southwestern California. But this region right here, all the way up into southwestern Oregon, could get more than a foot of rain by the time all is said and done by Monday morning of next week. Well, let's take a quick look at a couple of computer forecast maps. This is from last night's 0Z NAM model run for this evening. That strong high pressure here in southeastern Canada still kind of has control of the weather here throughout New England and into the mid-Atlantic region with chilly temperatures. Again, today will be below normal as we close out the month of November. Definitely a below normal month here, and one of the first months in a long time in many parts of the mid-Atlantic region. For more than a year, I believe, in some areas in the Mid-Atlantic region, we haven't had a below normal month, but November will no doubt end up below normal, this being the last day of the month. Not until this moves off the coast will we start to enjoy some of that mild Pacific air. You can see on the backside of this high now, there's already a flow setting up out here over the western and central plains out of the south or southwest. They'll have a significant warm-up this weekend, and that warmer air will translate into the east for Sunday and especially Monday and Tuesday. Meanwhile, out in the west, heavy precipitation in the form of coastal rains and inland over the high Sierras, extreme snow amounts by later on this afternoon and this evening, as yet another system sits right off the Pacific Northwest coast. Well, let's now jump ahead to tomorrow night, Saturday evening, from last night's 0Z NAM model run. That strong Canadian high is now shifting off the northeast U.S. coast. A broad southwesterly flow of milder air is starting to develop here. That'll be noticeable tomorrow out over the Ohio and Tennessee valleys. And again, that'll move into the eastern states. That milder air will be very noticeable here on Sunday and especially on Monday and Tuesday in the Mid-Atlantic region. Meanwhile, out west, continue to get pounded here out over the northern half of California, all the way up through the Pacific Northwest. Still strong low pressure sitting right off the western Canadian coast, and this is not the end of it. Their threat of rain will continue right into the early part of next week. Well, that's it for now. For the SIWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.